Okay, so today we're going to look firstly at putting our sketchbook together, and the first thing you need to do is actually get some holes down the side of your sketchbook. You're going to need to do every page. Hopefully you've sorted out the order that your pages are going in. I've just gone for time order at the moment, so I've got some of my portraits going through to shoes, right through to our last task, which was insects, apart from the front cover obviously going on the front. What I would really recommend you do, once you've organised a nice neat pile of your sketchbook, is to get a scrap piece of paper. I'm just using any old thing, it could be an envelope. It needs to be the same height as the rest of your sketchbook pages, and decide how many holes you want to make in the side. So I'm going for 4 holes. You could go for just 3, or you could go for 5. And on the scrap piece of paper I've just made some marks of roughly where I want the holes. I've done my by eye. If you want to, you could get a ruler and measure them up. Okay, and once you've done that and you're happy with where they're going, don't have them too close to the edge and don't have them too close to the corner, because obviously we're working with paper and it could rip. Okay, so I'll then make holes in my template. So this is going to be my template to mark up my other pages. Now obviously to make the holes, the easiest way of doing that is to use a hole punch. So you might have a double hole punch that you could use one side of at home, or you could even double hole punch here and double hole punch here, and that would be fine. So make the holes in your template where you want them, and then it'll help you with the other pages to mark them all up. I've actually got a single hole punch, so I can easily put my holes wherever I want to. Okay, so to make those, I'm just gonna very quickly punch those in. Now you might not have a hole punch at home or wherever you're working at the moment, so if you haven't got a hole punch to make those nice easy holes, several other ways that you could do it. One, you might have like a darning needle, like a chunky needle that's quite not too sharp. Okay, so you could let's have a practice on this side of the scrap paper. So you could put the needle through it. Obviously make sure if you're using a needle or anything vaguely sharp that you haven't got your fingers the other side of it, so hold it away from there, near to it at the front, but don't have your fingers or hands behind it. Okay, so I could do that and then just wiggle that around, and because it's quite chunky I could even then put the other end through and wiggle it around, and you can hopefully see that I've got a hole through there. You might see it better on here. So I've got a hole through there. It's not quite as big, so I could wiggle it around and make that hole a little bit bigger. Okay, but you'll need a decent sized hole to get your threads or ribbons through later on. Okay, other ways that you could do this, if you don't have a needle, you might have something around. I've got a bradawl, so that's quite good for making holes with and then wiggling around. It's called a bradawl. Okay, or the other thing you could use if you're really stuck is maybe the edge of your fork. So if we make a little mark there, you could use one part of the fork. This is quite thick paper, but that could make the hole through. Okay, if the holes are quite little still, take your pencil and just then use a pencil and push through. And if you want the holes bigger, you can then push it through nice and slowly so you don't rip anything, and then you've got a really decent size hole that you can get your threads and ribbons through. Okay, so in terms of making the holes, just make sure that you haven't got your hands behind when you're working, because I don't want you pushing anything sharp onto your hands at all. Obviously if you've got a hole punch, that's the easiest way to go. So use what you have at home or wherever you're working. Once you've got your template marked up, so I've marked mine up, I'm not going to use these, I'm just going to use this side, okay, to mark up my pages. So what I would do then is just take each page and make a really quick pencil mark or a pen mark, whatever you've got to hand, and I'm just going to mark in where I want the holes on each page. I need to make sure I keep this the same way up, so it's always this way up, because especially as I didn't measure it, I need to make sure that each page, and then when I've marked off a page, I'm putting it out of the way, and then I'm going to take the next page, line it up and mark out where I want the holes. Okay, and I would do that with every single page so that I know the holes are all going to be in the same place, and then when we tie it together everything should line up reasonably well. Okay, so I'm just marking up where that's going to go on each page. Okay, so what you'll need to do now is make sure you've got every single page marked up in pencil, and then you need to then make your holes. So take it a page at a time, keep them in the nice order that you've got them in already, and then either use the hole punch or whatever you're using, whatever you can find, and get the holes. Sometimes it's difficult to see against the illustration, and get the holes in the right position so that when we do put this together later, that all of the holes are going to be in the same place on each page, and it will all join together nicely. Okay, so I'm going off to hole punch or get holes in all of my pages now, and then you can watch the next video shortly when I'll be stringing and binding my sketchbook pieces together to make a nice little booklet.